Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into something we've all experienced, something that can drive us absolutely crazy. We're dissecting the anatomy of the interruption. I want you to really think about this for a second. Picture it. You're in a meeting, maybe you're at dinner with friends. You're telling a story you're excited about, you're building up to the good part, and then, bam, someone just jumps right in. What does that feel like? I mean, physically, in your body, right at that moment. Is it that sudden tightness in your chest, a flash of pure irritation? Or maybe it's that sinking feeling that just kind of whispers, I guess what I was saying didn't really matter. That feeling? It's universal. And today, we're going to figure out exactly where it comes from. So here's our game plan for this deep dive. First, we'll talk about why getting cut off feels so personal. Then, we're going to get into the actual neuroscience behind that urge to speak. After that, we'll break down the 4 main types of interruptions, spot them out in the real world, and then we'll build a communication toolkit to deal with them. We'll wrap things up by looking at listening in a whole new way. Okay, let's start here. We usually just chalk up interruptions to someone having bad manners, right? But the psychological hit, well, it goes so much deeper than that. This isn't just about etiquette. It's about our fundamental need for connection.
You know, whether the person means to or not, this is the message that comes across loud and clear. It's like this invisible broadcast that says, my agenda takes priority right now. Or it might sound like, oh, I already know what you're gonna say, which just completely invalidates your whole perspective. Or even worse, it can feel like it's saying, you aren't important enough to even finish your own sentence. It's that unspoken message, that assumed ranking of importance that really stings.
So here's the bottom line. Every single conversation we have is like, it's built on a social contract. It's this delicate dance of taking turns that's based on a simple idea. I give you the space to speak, and you give me that same space in return. An interruption just shatters that contract, and for the person who gets cut off, the brain can actually register this as a kind of social threat. It makes them feel devalued, disrespected, and when this happens again and again and again, say in a relationship or at work, it just slowly eats away at trust. It creates this deep well of resentment until eventually, the person who keeps getting interrupted just stops trying, and the connection, it just frays. But here's the twist. A lot of the time, the people who interrupt constantly, they aren't actually trying to be jerks. In fact, they're often these warm, smart, really enthusiastic people who feel terrible when they realize they've done it again. So to really get why this happens, we have to stop judging and start looking at the hardware, inside our skulls. Let's get into the science. Okay, this is probably the single most common and most innocent reason for interrupting. I want you to think of your working memory as a small, kind of leaky bucket. So you're listening to someone and then boom, this brilliant idea, this crucial point just pops into your head. That thought gets dropped right into your little bucket. But now you have a dilemma. If you keep listening really closely, you risk that amazing idea leaking out and just disappearing forever. But if you focus on holding on to it, well, you've basically stopped listening anyway. This creates a real physical anxiety in the brain, this urgent pressure to just blurt it out, to speak, just to release that thought. The interruption isn't meant to shut the other person down. It's really a desperate move to relieve the interrupter's own internal pressure. Now get this, not all interruptions are hostile. Sociolinguists actually have a name for this next one, cooperative overlapping. This is your super enthusiastic friend, right? The one who gets so excited about what you're saying that they jump in to agree or finish your sentence for you. What's happening in their brain isn't a power move, it's more like a high five. They're getting a literal rush of dopamine, that feel-good reward chemical, because they feel so connected to you and your idea. They are so on your wavelength that they just can't wait to show you how much they agree. Of course, even though the intention is good, we all know it can still feel like your story just got hijacked. And this perfectly explains the role of our brain's CEO. The prefrontal cortex, or PFC, is the part of your brain right behind your forehead. It's the boss. It handles all the complex stuff like rational thinking, and this is the big one, impulse control. It's the part of you that says, hey, hang on, they're not done yet, wait your turn. But the PFC can be a little temperamental. When we're stressed out or tired or feeling really emotional, its ability to do its job just plummets. The brakes on our speech start to fail. And this is exactly why arguments so often turn into this chaotic mess of people just talking all over each other. The emotions hijack the brain, and the CEO is officially no longer in charge of the conversation. So now that we've got the neuroscience down, we can start to see how these different brain functions lead to totally different kinds of interruptions. We can basically sort them into 4 main buckets based on what's driving them: connection,
control, anxiety, or just pure impulse? Let's start with the two big ones, the polar opposites. On one side, you've got that cooperative overlapping we just talked about. The whole goal there is connection. It's fueled by that dopamine rush, and it's meant to feel like a conversational high five. Then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have the intrusive interruption. This one is a whole different beast. Its goal is to assert dominance, to grab control of the conversation, and to establish who's on top. It's a straight-up power move, and it feels a lot less like a high five and a lot more like a hijack. And rounding out our four types are the two that are all about our brain's internal mechanics. You've got the leaky bucket interruption, which is born from that cognitive anxiety when our working memory gets overloaded. And then there's the impulsive interruption, which happens when our PFC just can't handle the pressure and we lose that critical filter between our thoughts and our mouths. So there you have it, connection, control, anxiety, and impulse, the four core drivers. Okay, this is where it gets really fun. Let's take all this science out of the lab and see how these things actually play out in conversations you've probably had, I don't know, a dozen times. Let's meet a few familiar faces. First up, we have Mr. Fix-It. Imagine your coworkers venting about a really tough project. Before they can even finish explaining the problem, he jumps in with, okay, stop. You need to schedule a one-on-one with their manager. What's happening there? That's pure working memory overload. His brain heard a problem, came up with a fix, and now he's interrupting just to get that solution out of his head. Next, the enthusiastic brainstormer. You're in a creative meeting, she gets so fired up about an idea that she cuts in and says, yes, and we could use that blue color from the mood board. That is a classic dopamine-fueled cooperative interruption. And finally, the dinner table debater. The second he hears a political point he doesn't agree with, he cuts in loudly to shut it down. No, look at the actual data. That is a toxic cocktail of a dominance move mixed with a prefrontal cortex failure. His emotion and ego have completely taken the wheel. Look, understanding the science is the first step, but changing the behavior, that's the real goal. So right now we're going to build a practical toolkit. We're talking concrete strategies for both the interrupter and the interrupted. Okay, so if you're the one who tends to jump in, here are three really powerful things you can do. First, use a physical anchor. The next time you feel that urge bubbling up, that physical need to speak, just take a slow, deep breath, or take a deliberate sip of water. That tiny 2-second pause is often all your prefrontal cortex needs to reboot and say, hold on a sec. Second, create a parking lot. This is a total game changer for all you leaky bucket interrupters out there. Keep a notepad nearby. When that brilliant thought strikes, just jot down 1 or 2 keywords. This simple little act signals to your brain it's safe, we've got it, which releases that anxiety and lets you go back to actually listening. And third, and this is a big one, consciously shift your goal. Most of us listen just to find a spot to jump in and make our own point. Try this instead. Make it your mission to be able to accurately summarize what the other person just said before you say anything. This forces you to truly hear them, not just wait for your turn. But what if you're the one always getting cut off? You have tools too. For that enthusiastic cooperative interrupter, you're going to use the soft reset. Just smile, acknowledge their energy, and say something gentle like, I love that excitement, let me just finish this one thought so I don't lose it. It validates them while letting you reclaim your space. But for the dominant, intrusive interrupter, you need a totally different strategy, the broken record. Calmly, without raising your voice, you simply state, please let me finish. If they try to talk over you again, you repeat the exact same phrase, with the exact same calm tone, I wasn't finished speaking. The key here is to be a firm, steady, unmovable object. Your calmness de-escalates things, but your repetition makes it crystal clear that you will not be steamrolled. So, we've covered the psychology, the neurology, and the practical tools. Now I want to zoom out for our final and maybe our most important idea. Because this isn't just about managing an annoyance. This is about completely reframing how we think about the simple act of listening itself. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? In a world that's getting louder and faster every single day, learning to manage your own impulse to interrupt is one of the biggest upgrades you can possibly make to your communication skills. True listening, listening without an agenda, without just waiting for your turn to talk, is an active gift. It's a conscious act of generosity. When you give someone the space to fully finish their thought, you are giving them the rare, profound gift of feeling truly heard, of feeling valued, of feeling understood. You're strengthening that social contract, one conversation at a time. And so that brings us to one last question for you to think about. In most of your conversations, which role do you play more often? Are you the one fighting to finish a sentence, or are you the one who's always jumping in with the next great idea? And look, there's no judgment here, only understanding. Because now that you know the science behind it, you have the power to change the dynamic of your very next conversation. Thanks for joining us on The Explain.